what better movie than the Avengers Endgame? And
Sonic.
we are... Huh?
You said what better movie? I said Sonic.
Oh, no.
Talking about movies, let's talk about Sonic and the fact that the Sonic trailer came out and not 48 hours later, the creators got so much fucking hate that they said, we hear your complaints and we'll do something about it. They're actually backtracking.
As long as it's not like a correction like Superman's mustache correction, I'll be okay with it.
Dear God.
Okay, I need to hear about this. I haven't heard this before.
Oh, God.
No, we are not jumping from Marvel to DC.
It took less than a minute, too.
Jesus Christ, guys. Oh, what did I start?
Superman's mustache?
We might also get to Spider-Man Far From Home, depending on how bad this goes, though.
No, so in Justice League, whenever they did it,
No!
the guy who plays Superman goes off to play in another movie, and he grew a mustache, and it was part of his contract. So whenever he had to reshoot stuff for Justice League, he still had that mustache, so they had to go in and digitally remove it, and it looked like...
About as bad as you'd expect.
Yeah, like we're talking like cutscenes for the original Resident Evil kind of like facial animations.
I shouldn't know what you're talking about, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Anyway,
So back to spoilers.
So, back to Avengers Endgame. Let's start from the very beginning with none other than
that.
like I knew we were gonna pick up, and it was gonna be like, hey, just a reminder,
This happened.
people are disappearing like on a basis, because like even Captain Marvel took place before, so and when Ant-Man and the Wasp came out after, like it ends with them disappearing, and you know
So Scott was
Scott
trapped.
is still trapped. So them starting it with people still disappearing, I was kind of expecting. And honestly, I was still kind of expecting, like, I wasn't expecting to that extent, like his whole family just gone.
Right.
Like,
What
that
are-
many people at once.
The odds of his entire family, 3 people, disappearing and him being
No,
around.
it was 4, right?
yeah, it was
His
both
wife?
of his sons, his wife, and his daughter.
I thought
Right,
he only had one son.
He had 2 sons.
Yeah, he has like a little boy.
Oh, okay. I missed the little one.
Yeah. And that's what's wild to me, is that there's so many of them. Like, I knew they were going to try and pull Clint in as soon as possible. I just wasn't quite expecting that fast. I mean, I knew we were
Right.
going to jump into, like, people being gone. But
I was kind of curious. I didn't want to have any predictions. I wanted to be as surprised as possible. So I was curious as to what would have caused him to be jumped in, to go back with them. It just seemed his whole family just disappear like that.
Yeah, because he
That
wanted
broke my
out
heart.
so bad. And he wanted out and to be dragged back in like that.
But that's the thing, is, like, you kind of, like, knowing that he wanted out after Age of Ultron, because of the fact that his family is there. Like, you kind of go into this one hearing that Hawkeye is going to be in this one, knowing that something had to have happened to his family, because something's dragging him back. He's pissed off now, so now he wants to enact his revenge, much like most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. And then immediately, right after that, just black screen. 5 years later.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, 5 years has passed.
Well, it wasn't quite that fast because you had the whole scene where they actually go and confront Thanos.
Yeah, I skipped the Thanos confrontation. Yeah.
Confrontation. It was less of a confrontation, more of an execution.
No, it was a straight execution.
It was.
Props to you, Skinny Thor. The last good thing you do as Skinny Thor.
I went for the head. About time he took that advice.
Some snark was appropriate to that scene.
Here's the thing, though. Honestly, like, why did they not think about just lobbing off his whole ass arm before
In
that
Infinity
point?
War?
Yeah, like, why wasn't that even considered a possibility?
I'm not sure that they didn't consider it so much as they weren't capable of it.
Well, no, they kept trying to pull the glove off. Like, even Strange has, like, the little circle or whatever,
Yeah.
and whenever they closed it in the fight in Infinity War,
You
It lobs that dude's whole arm off.
I think at the beginning they wanted to try and do it as humane as possible.
Just to like put a stop to him? Like
yeah, because they're heroes. They want to be better than Thanos. And then
they drop an entire city. I mean, arguably, like, it's not exactly their fault. But, like...
Okay, so intelligence and wisdom aside, they are relatively good people who, at least a few of them, don't really want to watch Thanos suffer so much. Still been around. Strange doesn't seem to have those same kind of morals.
No, Strange was like, I'm all for killing him. Like, screw this guy.
So Strange, we get the lovely lawful neutral versus lawful good dichotomy.
Here's the possibility, though, because before he gets there, Strange sees all the possibilities and all the outcomes.
Mm-hmm. And this is the outcome he wants.
Yeah, but this is the thing, is like, some of those probably had them where they lobbed his arm off, right? But like, obviously, there's an issue with it, because otherwise it would have... That's the only thing that I can kind of piece together, is that...
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love this movie, but there are plot holes. There are still plot holes that we probably should discuss at some point.
For this one specifically, or like...
I mean, well, we can go through the entire Avengers Marvel Cinematic Universe and talk about plot holes, because there will be plenty.
There are so many plot holes throughout the entire cinematic universe that it can make up to about 3 or 4 movies alone.
Which I'm kind of hoping they do at some point, although it seems unlikely.
But yeah, no, back to the movie. So they chop his arm off and then chop his head off.
Well, specifically, one very angry member.
Yeah, one angry Asgardian. Right after he looked at what's her name? I still don't know.
Nebula?
Yeah, Nebula. I can never remember her name. I didn't really like Guardians of the Galaxy. So.
Oh. I'll deal with you later.
But yeah, so whenever you looked at Nebula and it was like, I might have been too harsh on you, and then decapitation, man, was that a heartbreak for her?
I don't think so. Like, see, this is the reason why you should have really watched Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, at the end of the second one, she wants him dead. Like,
there's no.
Well, just hearing that right before he does die, just hearing I might have been too harsh on you, pretty much apologizing that he was the way he was towards her.
This is a woman almost entirely shaped by Stockholm Syndrome, to be fair. And it's kind of hard to say one way or the other how she felt.
Almost literally and figuratively at this point. You know, with as many times as she's been, like, disassembled and reassembled.
Yeah.
And, like, hey, you lost your sister, so now we're just going to remove your whole ass arm and replace it with a robotic arm, and hopefully you can do better this time. She went through a lot of torture. I'm pretty sure with him saying...
That's exactly what he intended to be either, because this is a man who is so sociopathic and just far beyond conventional morality.
As she said, he is many things, but he's not a liar.
Right, he's not a liar, but he's also got such a twisted sense of morality that that killing to him is a mercy, and I love Thanos. I think he's a fantastic villain. I also think that he'd make a fantastic D&D villain.
No ideas.
Too late.
Oh yeah, then Hobbs 5 years later.
Oh yeah.
Then Hobbs 5 years later goes to a rat in the garage.
Well, actually, the 5 years later we jump into Cap giving his whole like moving on stuff for the other people that are in New York. Which
I thought that was right after.
Even still, like when you look at like the piled up cars and everything through there, and whenever the hero of the actual story finally lets Lang out, and Lang's like
the hero
walking through the city, he sees like one person, just one. Like that is a lot of people missing from New York City, right? Like
right, and or even if you live in the suburbs and
like one person, he runs into one person that entire time. Which I mean, I get it to an extent. Like, I mean, it's been 5 years. There are probably people still grieving and like don't want to go outside because it's just a reminder. But like one person, man, on a bike.
That's that's what I don't get, because half of 7.4 billion, I think there still should be quite a few people.
There's still quite a few people, but I kind of get the feeling. So with 5 years passing, think about the after effects of 3.7 trillion people suddenly being gone, and you think about who those people were. They were everything from police officers, emergency responders, people who actually, I don't know, supply the food to the world. Now with these people gone, suddenly the supply chain's all fucked up, and how many more people die as a result of not being able to get proper medical care, emergency responders, there's not enough food to go around. I think that with that many people gone, we're probably looking at a casualty count somewhere closer to the 5 to 5.5 trillion.
Now, Thanos did let the universe decide ultimately, so do you think the universe did put that into play as well?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, because, like, there was obviously, like, it says that it's balanced and that it's fair, but, like, there was obviously an unfair balance somewhere.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people wouldn't have lost 4 whole-ass family members and still been alive.
It's a random drawing, and the odds of losing
your whole family.
Let's do some math on that.
It's not going to happen, man. That's way too much math.
No, it's actually really pretty easy. So you take 1/2 and you multiply it by itself for each member of the family he lost. So 1 member is 50%, 2 members is 25%,
right.
3 is 12%, 4 members is just over 6% chance. If my math checks out. A 6% chance that you lose 4 out of 5 people in a given family.
But I mean, that's just them though too. That's not including
and
everywhere over the world.
And so, it's hard to see. Did we see what of Scott's family actually stayed? We saw his daughter,
right?
But who did we see besides that? His daughter and Scott's girlfriend, I guess. Scott's girlfriend, wife.
No.
There was a scene where he was with his family. I don't remember but I've never seen Ant-Man or Ant-Man the Wasp. So there's a scene with 3 people. It's him, his daughter, and 1 other woman.
I think that's towards the end of the movie that you're.
No, that's the very beginning.
Because like in the very beginning, when he walks through, you see his daughter.
Right, and then there's a scene afterward where he enjoys their company and contemplation before ultimately deciding he has to go to the Avengers. And I don't know who she is because I didn't watch the movies. So I don't know if that's his wife, his ex-wife.
No, because they all 3. It might have been the ex-wife, but like as far as everything else, Hank, his wife, and Wasp all right. It was all done. Otherwise there'd be somebody that knew what they were doing to let out Lane, and he wouldn't have spent 5 hours in the quantum realm.
Yeah. The fact that it was only 5 hours for him.
Right.
That kind of cuts down on the level of panic somewhat until you actually get out and you go, oh God.
Right?
Well, like, you spend 5 hours in there, but like, there has to be just enough panic, because like, even at the end of it, he's like, okay, guys, you told me not to mess around, and like, they were counting him down to bring him back, and then they just stopped. So like, he has communication, and then all of a sudden, there's nothing, right? Like, there's nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
But could you imagine going home after what you think has only been a couple hours, seeing the monuments of people's names underneath the vanished, finding your own name on that monument, and then seeing your daughter, who's now a teenager at best.
Yeah, she's
like,
supposed to be a teenager.
Like, that is wild,
right?
I can't even imagine what it'd be like for something like that. That is the kind of catastrophe you can only talk about in books and movies.
That is definitely something. And then it goes towards Natasha talking to him, right?
Yeah, we have her talking to Rhodey, to Captain Marvel, and
Captain Rocket.
Yeah, and
I guess Nebula's there too.
Yeah. That's Rhodey.
I won't be available. Why? Because you're going to get another haircut?
Back and forth.
Throwing shade at Captain Marvel.
unfortunately for the rest of the universe, they don't have you guys. Oh.
I mean,
Sure, they do. They have the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, they have Rocket.
Yeah, but Rocket's just... There is no Guardians of the Galaxy anymore. It's just Rocket.
It's just Rocket, and Rocket's like the worst fucking Guardian.
Because he never was one.
Right.
Like, he would just go and he would go with them, help them out, and just steal shit along the way. Like,
He's a mercenary. And not even... Mostly he's just a thief.
Yeah, he's really just a thief. But no, so we jump to that, and then they all kind of like go off on their own.
Yeah, and then
That's where we get the
just Rhodey and Natasha.
yeah, where they're talking about finding Ronan now.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic name.
Just Ronan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's
The connotations of it are heavy.
I don't know. Like, I kind of feel like it's a really weird place for him, because I feel like he probably should have reached out to the Avengers for, okay, this, everybody's gone. Now I'm just gonna be a vigilante and kill the fucking people that need to die, that should have died whenever the snap happened, and instead I lost my family. It seemed like such a huge jump for them to not know what he's doing and not really know where he is, but kind of still keep tabs on him. But not to have any communication at all.
I feel like what probably happened is he approached them, realized what the fuck happened, and then in true Hawkeye fashion decided to blame them for it, for not being able to make it happen.
Well, I mean, we already had in the beginning Tony blame Cap.
Yeah.
Because he told him, like, he wanted to take care of it, which was a straight rip from Age of Ultron. But
yeah, whatever Kevin, the Iron Man, talk about if we lose together. If we win, we win together. Well, I was here. Where were you at?
To be fair, the Cap was fighting too. Like just because he wasn't in space with you doesn't mean that he wasn't getting his ass handed to him in Wakanda. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. You got stabbed through the chest and you drifted through space for 22 days and ran out of food and played paper football with Nebula. Like, life is hard. Imagine being on Earth where, like, it's literally everybody is gone.
And what do you do with that?
You pick up Bucky's arm and you try to move on, I guess.
Okay, first of all, rude. Second of all, how fucking dare you?
I'm just saying, like, did he put it on a mantle somewhere? Like, is it a memoriam of some sort? Like, it's been 5 years, man. Like, you can't tell me that,
This is Tony Stark. Tony Stark is petty and famous.
Well, no. I know Tony is. I'm talking about Cap.
Well,
Like, could you not see Cap picking up Bucky's arm and, like, putting it in, like, a memorial's case or something?
I mean, Cap's a little bit sentimental, but...
Right, exactly. It's his best friend, man. Come on.
Yeah.
It is his real best friend is Tony Stark. Let's be real.
No, that's his lover.
I don't object, but we do have a Tony Stark child now, so sorry. Sorry, all of you shippers out there who ship Tony and Steve together.
5 years later, man, Tony doesn't even go with them to try and correct everything.
I don't blame him. I do not blame him. He finally has his second chance.
No, I'm talking about before then. Before we get the 5-year skip, he doesn't even go with them to take out Thanos.
No, he kind of just shoots off on his own. Just decides...
They gave him the sedative because he was like super pissed off and still dehydrated and everything. Mm-hmm. I guess they just kind of tossed him in a bed and left his ass there, as if he wouldn't want to get his own revenge in a way. But I don't know, man.
No, I
think he just lost all hope and he just finally gave up.
It's not true.
Well,
Morgan.
That's a different kind of hope.
Well, no, think about this though too. How fucking unfair was that?
Right.
Everybody loses everything. Like,
But he still got Pep.
like, okay, except for Scott. But to be fair, his daughter thought that she lost her father for 5 years.
Another argument: Natasha didn't lose everything. She had nothing from the beginning.
That's not fair. She lost like half of her new family.
Yeah.
And she decided that she, instead of moving on and finding a new family, no, I'm going to do everything in my power.
And Cap lost Bucky. He lost Sam.
Yeah.
Right? Like, everybody lost something, and then Tony still has his pots to come home to.
Tony lost Peter.
Huh?
Tony did lose
lost Peter. And Peter being lost is the reason why he went back.
That may be true, but still, like, he gained a lot more out of it than he lost. I feel like.
I don't feel like he gained anything. I feel like he lost, but he didn't lose as bad.
Yeah.
I still feel like.
I feel like the 5 years weren't as hard on him as the others.
Yes.
Like,
He escaped to a cabin in the woods.
right.
With her, where he had a child.
Well, it wasn't really a cabin. It was wood, but it wasn't a cabin.
Yeah,
It's totally a cabin. If it's made out of wood on the outside, it's a cabin.
Tony lived in a mansion on the end of a lake. It just happened to be made out of wood
Yeah.
from the outside.
Well, it depends on what you define a cabin as. Sometimes a cabin is a little tiny one-room shack, and sometimes it's a complex. My father's favorite word for the thing is a barn-dominium, where it's half barn and half living quarters. One place to keep the toys, one place to keep the family.
But then we get Lane knocking on the front door.
That was fun. I like him just in utter panic, totally
Is this
psyched out.
recording?
Is this recording? Is this a sandwich? I'm taking this. Natasha's just like, what the fuck, man? That's my sandwich.
Where have you been for 5 years? It hasn't been 5 years for me. It's been 5 hours for me. Hey, I'm starving. Is that your sandwich? Do you want it? Can I have it?
As a man on the verge of a panic attack, trying to stave off a panic attack.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, like, he just realized that 5 years has passed, even though for him it's been 5 hours, and he doesn't have the mental ability to actually explain that to people in a way. So he's like trying to do it the best he can while still messing it up.
And when you think about it, Scott Lang is still probably the most well mentally adjusted of every superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far.
I don't know, man.
Okay, just put it into perspective. This is a man who has a previous relationship and a daughter with said previous relationship, is cool with X and the stepfather,
Okay.
and it takes this whole thing in stride and goes, okay, but I think I can fix this. Everyone else spends all their time moping around thinking about the impossible, and he's like, but we can do this.
Yeah.
I'm nervous as hell, but we can do this. This is a well mentally adjusted man, all things considered.
Yeah, I'll give you that. If he could get over his fanboy,
That's impossible. This is a man who wants to be a superhero and has been put on the back lines for so long that
He can
suddenly
finally become
being
a
on,
superhero.
and finally being on the front lines freaks him the fuck out.
and the funny thing is, you kind of see it in a way though too, is whenever those kids come up to Professor Holt.
Oh god, I love
take a
that.
picture,
Oh my
and
God.
he's like, "Oh, do you guys want a picture with me?" And they're like,
Who the hell are you? And he's like, I'm from this city, you ungrateful shits.
Well, we also skipped the point where they met up with the Stark first.
Yeah,
Before they met up with Professor Holt.
where we actually get to meet Morgan.
Yeah, and
Oh, she was so cute.
yeah, and Tony's like, I'm really glad that you guys came. I miss you guys so much. I would have been happier if you guys were here to talk about anything but this.
But the actual problem at hand. Let me avoid the problem a little longer. I was perfectly content. I was perfectly content pretending that I had no part of this and I could never do anything about it.
Yeah, he said almost pretty much what Clinton said. Don't give me hope, kind of thing.
I think that Tony probably did the best job of moving on more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
because he had somebody to live on with.
Right.
Like he's having a kid, man. He can't really like. You know, it's not like he's gonna change his diapers and then like turn around and like cry softly into the baby wipes about the fact that he lost Peter Parker. Right?
I mean,
like,
he might though. This is Tony Stark. This is a man. This is a man who had an entire arc in the comic books about demon in a bottle and being an alcoholic. He will cry over all kinds of dumb shit.
But have we seen him cry in the MCU though?
Not yet. I don't
right.
think.
Well.
Oh. God damn it!
We just have to pause for a second. Take a second.
No, I'm mad. Let's move on.
But yeah, now we go on to Professor Hulk.
Oh, this is that. Like you get the little introduction of Bruce and Hulk actually communicating. I wish we could have seen that actually happen. Honestly, like I feel like that kind of like cheesed this out of everything that was building up.
Yeah.
Right, like in Age of Ultron, we get Bruce trying to like swallow everything that he can so Hulk doesn't come out. Yeah. Hulk finally comes out and
Hulk stays out.
Hulk's like, "Fuck you! You're not coming back. I'm leaving this whole ass planet, so you have nothing to like." Empower yourself over me mentally. Goes to another planet, lives there for
fuck yeah, Ragnarok.
Right, and then finally loses it. Bruce comes back, and then gets his ass beat by Thanos, and is like, "Yeah, no, fuck you, I'm staying out." Like,
I got my ass kicked twice.
Right.
Hulk's like, "I'm not used to getting my ass kicked. I'm going to hide."
Well, I mean, he'd been a champion of a planet for a fucking, a year, if not...
Yeah. Oh, longer.
And
he was the most recent champion, but it was still... Time worked differently on that plane, too, so it was like 2 or 3 years.
So, I mean...
Long enough for him to become good friends with Valkyrie.
And actually learn how to not properly speak, but speak. Right? Like,
he could communicate.
Right.
And more than growls and angry noises.
Right. And then all of a sudden it goes from him being a champion and actually being a force to be reckoned with to straight getting smacked like a bitch. So yeah, I'd be a little upset and not want to.
Yeah, the Great Maw terrifies me too. That's a mean motherfucker.
I wouldn't want to hang out with anybody either.
Motherfucker.
But no, I feel like it kind of cheated everybody, man. I feel like we should have got to see a little bit of them trying to work their shit out because we had seen everything leading up to that point, and then suddenly it's just like, oh, here it is. Set it right in front of you. No fucking like.
Yeah, because Endgame wasn't long enough already.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. I kind of feel like we deserve to see a little something, you know, like.
So there's a lot of things that we deserve to see that we didn't see. I would like to see weird things I'd like to see. I'd like to see the transition to Professor Hulk.
Right.
I'd like to see more of the Potts and Tony moving on and having Morgan.
Nah.
No, I want to have enough Iron Man.
What I did enjoy is nerdy Hulk dabbing.
Yeah, no.
That was painful.
No, that was...
That made me laugh so hard.
I didn't say I didn't laugh, but it was an uncomfortable laugh through and through.
Even those kids were uncomfortable, man. They were walking away like... no, they weren't uncomfortable just because of him. That dab made them feel like...
Like, okay, look, dude, we dabbed 5 years ago.
Right.
Dab no more.
I enjoyed it because it shows that he's still a nerd. He's that grandpa.
Oh, no, it's not that he's a nerd. It's that he's just out of friggin' touch.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been 5 years. I mean, come on.
We don't do that anymore. But, good try. It's like when my dad tries to be cool.
That's what any dad trying to be cool.
My dad, when he tries to be cool, he is the most uncool. But when he doesn't try, he's the coolest fucking man. Love my dad.
But yeah, so after that, that's whenever they start to try and work on that's whenever they finally beat Clint. Natasha does.
Natasha goes and finds Clint.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we have that's happening. I think at the same time we have Hulk trying to piece together the whole time travel thing, right?
No, this is where they say. Well, at the same time that Natasha is finding Ronan, we have Hulk going to find Thor. where we bring in the fabulous Fat Thor.
Oh, Fat Thor. I love Fat Thor.
I want more Fat Thor. Like, this is a man who's had his life torn apart and reacts the way most of us would react.
Heaven's got me out of fight for a minute.
Sit and drink.
And that's what he did.
That is exactly what he did.
He sat, he drank, he played video games.
I'm just upset over the fact that they were playing Fortnite.
Okay, they're playing, or to be fair, they are way out of touch as well, playing Fortnite, which is probably a mostly dead server 5 years into the future.
Yeah.
Kind of like Black Ops.
Oh.
Sorry, just throwing some shade at Recon.
You leave my Call of Duty alone, sir.
I'll leave your Call of Duty alone when they create an original concept again.
So, back to the movie.
So we have Fat Thor, but more importantly, we have the rise of a new leader for the Asgardians.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Valkyrie.
The worthy leader.
The worthy leader, who eventually will hopefully go along to inherit Mjolnir.
No.
I would very much like that. We got to see well, we'll get to that in a bit. But I think that Valkyrie would have made a great new bearer for Mjolnir.
It goes to New Asgard, and it shows Valkyrie and a few other people just...
fishing.
Yeah, fishing, working, getting their stuff together and whatnot. And they're like, hey, we don't want you, we want Thor. Where's Thor? And it's kind of like wow.
Disappointing. Well, there is that, but there's also, like, let's talk about the total lack of interest. Valkyrie used to be, like, great friends with Hulk.
Right?
But Professor Hulk, she's just like... I like you a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, Professor Hulk, I like Professor Hulk. I also think that Professor Hulk is a sad combination of the two other personas and is not good at being either. Instead of being the best of both, he ends up being the worst of both.
So he's no Hannah Montana.
I don't...
He doesn't get the best of both worlds.
I won't even dignify that with a comment.
But yeah, so after New Asgard, it goes... Then it goes to Clint?
We get New Asgard, we have Clint and Natasha.
Yeah.
Clint and, well, really Natasha and Ronan.
Yeah, Natasha and Ronan. Which, Ronan, total badass. Major ninja. Oh, I loved him.
I thought it was a cool design. I also thought that it was a sharp turning character that really didn't need to happen.
But, no. If I was in his position, I would have done the exact same thing.
Well, then you probably have some psychopathic tendencies too.
No, if I saw my entire family get taken away from me from a bad guy and then see more bad guys still alive, I'm going to take out those bad guys because they don't deserve to live. Not whenever the good guys died.
In a 50-50 split that doesn't differentiate between good and evil, I don't really feel like that's my decision to judge anymore.
Hey, to each their own.
There are better ways he could have spent his time, including, but not limited to, trying to, A, find a way to move on, and B, reaching out to his friends who are still trying to do good in the world in ways that don't involve vigilante justice. Although you'll also never hear me say too many good things about vigilanteism to begin with. I'll throw that disclaimer out there.
Huge vigilante hero right here.
Oh, no, I can barely do Batman. I hate Daredevil. I take it back. There is one vigilante I like. I loved Luke Cage. I love Luke Cage.
Green Arrow, man.
Green Arrow's not terrible. He's like a Batman ripoff with better range. Well, so does Green Lantern, but Green Lantern was a disaster. At least the movie was a disaster.
But yeah, back to the movie. So Ronan and Natasha, they meet up. She says, "Hey, we have a chance to..." Yeah, that whole shit.
Also, but like, the one thing I will that thing I will say about Ronan, I love Ronan's design. I think that the new guitar, the new sword, is excellent. I think that it added some much needed improvement to his repertoire of what Clint could do.
Yeah.
And it definitely throws more into his acrobatic side for those of you who know his history.
Right. As Hawkeye.
I mean, Hawkeye was already really cool and was one of my favorites to begin with. And then you add the new skill set he picks up in his years as Ronin, and you've got an even bigger badass.
Right? Just everything about him. 12 out of 10.
I'll give him an 8 because he's a vigilante and everything else is great.
So yeah.
And also apparently he learned Japanese.
Yeah. Like when did he do that?
When did you do?
When, how, and why? What was the reason?
Apparently a lot of Yakuza scum lived.
Right.
Either that or he spent an extended period in Japan.
Maybe, but he also spent a period in Mexico too, for the Mexican cartels.
I remember hearing about that, but they mentioned that in the movie. I don't know. Did they mention how long he was down there?
No, they just said that last time that they saw him, or kind of glimpse of him, he was taking down the cartel, and by the time that they got out to there, he was already gone, and all the cartel was already dead.
So he works quick too.
Yeah, he works real quick. That's why I'm saying maybe they weren't keeping tabs on him as much as they were trying to catch up to him.
They were trying to keep tabs on him and failing miserably.
Yeah.
A man who moves that fast, that is... I could go on a rant about the dangers of vigilante justice, and Clint kind of
shows
epitomizes it right there. He moves so fast from target to target, he probably didn't have, or not guaranteed, but most people who move that fast from target to target don't have time to think about the moral ramifications or the collateral they leave behind.
Yeah.
So maybe Clint killed some innocents in the process. And Clint makes an allusion to that, but we'll get to that much, much later in the movie when we talk about him and Natasha.
Yeah, but as for them talking, and she's like, hey, we found a time machine. We can go back in time.
Don't give me hope.
Yeah, and he's like, don't do it. And she's like, no, don't do what? Don't give me hope.
Oh, it broke my heart a little more.
Right.
But it did make me happy when, as soon as they bring him back, Scott's like, I'm too nervous for this mission. And Hawkeye's like, send me.
Yeah. Scott's like, I've already been through here. I really don't want to go back again. Is there any volunteer? And immediately Clint's like, I'll do it. Send me back now.
And then he goes back, and then he breaks our hearts all over again.
Right? Oh, he grabs the glove, and then he's like, my children. Then he hears his daughter, and I cried. That broke my heart.
He was so close to get so far.
He was so close. He got right into the house. The door closed, and then he was gone. And his daughter was like, what the hell? Yeah, she was like, yeah. Okay, bye.
Meanwhile, actual dad is probably asleep upstairs somewhere.
Right.
I get the feeling that Clint is lazy every day, that he doesn't have to be.
Oh, man. But yeah, then he comes back with the glove, and he's like, yeah, this works. Let's hurry up and do this.
I want to shoot my family.
Yeah.
And he actually gets to survive to see his family.
Right?
Some good ending.
And then they keep on trying. We get the old man, the Scott. We get the baby.
Actually, that happens first.
Yeah, that happens first.
Because before we have
Clint, we completely skipped that.
We skipped Tony having an epiphany. Oh my God, this works!
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah, he was doing dishes, and then he got water everywhere. He was cleaning it up. Then he was finding the photograph, the frame, and then he sees Peter, and he's like, "Fuck, I lost something. I need to see if." Then he's like,
"Let me run some experiments."
Yeah, let me just run some experiments. What's the worst that can happen? And it just fails.
The worst that can happen is you teach your daughter a swear word.
Yeah, then it actually works, and he just goes, "Oh shit." then shows his lovely little daughter.
Morgan in the other room. Shit.
Shit. That's a bad word. And then he just goes, we're not supposed to say that. And she's like, I won't say it if you give me a juice pop.
That woman is going to grow up to run a company.
Look who her parents are.
Oh, God.
But now back all the way back to Clint traveling back in time and coming back. What happens after that?
Scott.
No, we accidentally skipped to that scene, so we talked to that over real quick, and then we talked about Clint going back in time, seeing his family, not seeing, but hearing his family, grabbing the glove to make sure that it actually does work, that you can bring an item back to the present, and he's like, yeah, it works, let's do this. What happens after that again?
Brainstorming.
Yeah, that's where the whole, like, so...
Where are the stones and what years are they?
Right.
Yeah.
Where the stones are, what years they are, where they can pull them out at the same time. Because they only have so many particles that they can use, and so they can only make one trip, and they gotta separate the team in order to get it.
Yeah, and then they're like, okay, so who knows where the other two stones are at, or something like that.
New York has 3 of them.
Yeah,
The
New York has
same
3.
year.
The same year.
Yeah.
We got the scepter, we got the tesseract, and we got the time stone.
Yep.
So the mind stone, the time stone, and the space stone are all 3 there. And then we have
Soul Stone.
well, the soul stone is still in
That one.
Boromir, right?
Yeah,
I think is what it's
Boromir.
called. And then we have the reality stone is still in God, what is her name? Thor's girlfriend from
Jane.
and
In the ether.
yeah, in the ether. So I mean, everybody's got their areas, and they kind of got to break them down, and that's when we see Thor dead in the corner.
Yeah,
Big
just
Lebowski himself.
sunglasses on,
just snoring in the background. But no, like he's still drunk in that scene.
Yeah.
Man. Like that's what I tell people. Like, he's drunk halfway through that movie. Because like even when he's like oh, so we got to go back, and my girlfriend, she's not my real girlfriend anymore. We broke up. It's kind of a sad story. We got to go back. We got to get it from her, and my mom's there, and my mom who died. It's just like
That's
it's
real
just
sad.
like it keeps kept going.
and he's like, oh, but I'm better now.
Yeah, Thor, we know we can see it all over your fat bod.
So, dude,
Oh.
Thor is 100% not okay throughout the entire movie.
actually, well, that's not entirely true. Because when we get to the point where everybody goes back and he actually gets to have that moment with his mom again, like, I think at that point he really starts picking it back up.
Kind of.
Like, because, what was it she tells him?
Besides eating a salad.
She does tell him that.
She does tell him that.
Catch that rabbit! But yeah, she's like,
In what world was it a good idea to send Rocket Raccoon back with Thor?
right? But yeah, she's like...
Perfect one, apparently.
He tries to tell her that she's going to die, and she's like, no, don't tell me. I accept my fate no matter what the fate is. You need to accept your fate. You know that you're a better person than this. Yeah, you have... you're not...
Living up to it, though.
no, he says that he's a complete loser, and she's like, no, you're not a loser. You just have failed several times. You are a failure. But that is okay because everybody is a failure. It's just how you live up to that failure.
You are a failure at what you are supposed to, or what you
Yeah.
are supposed to be, and you are successful when you be what you are when you decide you want to be, or what you decide to be.
Something along those lines. But it's a really sweet moment, man. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like Thor needed that. You know, the one guy who's lost, I would arguably say, more than anyone else.
He lost
in the
more than
entire
everything.
movie. Like he's He's lost his father. He's lost his brother. He's lost his eye. He's lost the sister that he didn't know he had. He lost
his hammer.
a planet. He lost his hammer.
He lost all of his people.
Yeah.
Well, half of his people.
Half of his people, and then turned around and lost half the universe. I mean, just that's an interesting thing to actually bring up. Speaking of, Thanos was going around and kind of like brutally murdering half the population of some places. I don't think the Gauntlet took that
into consideration.
Probably not.
Yeah, because you see that the rest of the Asgardians is just a small town.
Right. I mean, in what is it that we call it? New Asgard,
yeah,
right?
New Asgard.
I think they're in Norway.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel it's proper.
Well,
you know, like
as you can see with the hill up top, that's where his father passed out is at that hill. That's the reason why he went there.
Because he even says this could be Asgard.
Yeah.
So I mean, because he tells him it doesn't matter. The planet isn't what matters. It's the people. It's the people.
Right.
The people are Asgard. So, and then you literally lose Asgard, the planet, and Asgard, the people. I mean, so if you ask me, Thor's got plenty of reason to be pissed, and then turn around to find out that nothing he does is going to make it better. Yeah, I mean, who's not going to lock themselves away and just say fuck the world? You know what I mean? Like,
okay, so that's where we get into heroes versus everyday people. Everyday people, yeah. Heroes, we're supposed to hold them to a slightly higher standard.
but Thor was never really a hero.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Thor was very much a hero. He wasn't a human hero. He's a god and a hero of his own people, who already have significantly higher standards.
Yeah, but even in
yeah, but even then, his people knew he was careless and reckless and selfish.
He was careless and reckless and selfish, but still a hero.
But the thing with that though is like even Valkyrie was a hero, right? At some point,
And Valkyrie fell hard too.
She failed, and what did she do? She went to the same thing that Thor does. She went to drink. She just didn't become thick Valkyrie. Like,
No, she still stayed in shape somehow, which is a miracle.
Because instead of just sloping around, she also used her anger to kick ass.
well, she was
Sometimes. She was a scrapper.
yeah. She sold people.
Yeah, like that.
She was Columbus.
Yeah. She was the Asgardian Columbus. But yeah, so
Had to bring that out, huh?
I don't know, man. It just came to mind. It came out of my mouth, and you know, it's in the world now. There's a thing.
It's on a stream.
okay, so we get Valkyrie and Thor. We have the brainstorming. After the brainstorm, we finally get everybody to go back into the past.
Mm-hmm.
How do we want to split this up? Do we already talked about Asgard?
Yeah, we already talked about it. Well, we kind of talked about it.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it.
While Thor's off on his own like little like pity party or us.
He's supposed to be helping Rocket
Yeah.
get the Reality Stone out of the ether, which is currently embedded in Thor's ex-girlfriend.
Which he doesn't do at all.
Yeah, and Rocket just smacks the shit out of him, and he's like, okay, listen, I know that you're having a hard time.
You lost a lot, but me too, dude.
And I'm here trying to save people. I need you to do this. I know you can do this, Thor. I can do it. I can do it. Rocket takes off. I can't do it.
Well, like, not only that, but he also, like, immediately seen his mom afterwards,
Yeah.
too. So, like, he just... It was, it completely...
I'm having a panic attack. I'm not trying to have a panic attack, but I'm having a panic attack.
And
That was kind of real.
and can we mention that Rocket still what he does?
Yeah.
And so...
He has the proper tooling for it, to be fair.
Right. And...
All you have to do is, I'm going to tase this poor girl,
Right.
and I'm
Take
going
it out
to
of her
use...
spine.
And I'm going to use this device, and it's... Does it actually say take it out of her spine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then, yeah, he extracted some spinal fluid in the ether stone with it,
Yeah.
which
yeah.
may or may not have left her paralyzed,
I was just about to ask what happens to her.
depending on how much spinal fluid you lose.
Let's be fair. Do we really care she broke Thor's heart? Come on.
You're right.
She broke Thor's heart, but also, like, Thor is not the